Fahrenheit 451 was a dystopian science fiction novel written by Ray Bradbury in 1953. In this book, firemen no longer put out fires, but start them. Books and the data within them are considered illegal contraband. If a tip is provided to the firemen that someone is harvesting or holding books in their house, they will go to the house, kick in the door, find the books, confiscate them, and set them on fire. If the people in that home resist this, they will set the house on fire with the person in it. They don't explain why the books are illegal, because they don't need to. And unfortunately, if you have not read this book before, I would recommend that you do, because this dystopian science fiction future is becoming closer and closer to a reality. There aren't firemen kicking in doors and burning books, but there are firemen being hired by the agents of social media, particularly YouTube at this particular moment, but there's going to be more coming, I'm sure, that are going around and kicking in the doors of certain channels and content creators, finding content, and setting it on fire. They're not only burning the content down, they're also putting demerits against the creator of the content. We have seen in the last couple days videos that were acceptable by community standards for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years are suddenly no longer compliant with YouTube's community standards. These videos are being deleted by the agents of YouTube, and then demerits, what are called community strikes, against the channel creator or content creator on their channel are being placed. After a certain amount of strikes, things happen like you are taken off the network for a certain duration of time. Eventually, you're deleted from YouTube entirely. There's a couple of insidious things going on with this. Just deleting the content in and of itself means that you're deleting a digital archive of information. The future will not be able to look back and understand what happened. They won't be able to see this content. They won't know what this video was. It's erasing history. But the more insidious thing about that, besides just deleting the video, is by putting these strikes against the content creator. If this was acceptable by community standards 5 years ago, suddenly it's not acceptable today. Does that mean that we're retroactively applying new community standards to content created in the past? This means that there's a chilling effect on what can be or not be said on YouTube or other social networks. You'll be fearful of creating content that may or may not be controversial tomorrow, even if it is today. And I want to remind you that this is not affecting only gun-related content creators. This is affecting anything that YouTube dictates as not being compliant with community standards. And their community standards are arbitrary and capricious. They decide what they are today, they decide what they are tomorrow, and they decide what you, as the community viewing this content, are allowed or not allowed to see. InRange has diversified and decentralized the distribution of its content to multiple networks: YouTube, Full30, Facebook, which I know has its own problems, BitChute, and VidMe. Maybe none of them are perfect. Maybe one of them will be perfect. But the point is that by decentralizing our content, we're not as susceptible to the whims of only one corporate oligarchy. However, this is not only InRange that needs to do this. Every content creator that considers their content potentially, or maybe tomorrow potentially controversial, needs to consider decentralizing the distribution of their video content now, not tomorrow, as in today. They need to do it to now. If you didn't already start, you're in trouble. You need to also demonetize your content, because every cent generated by your content provided to Google and YouTube at this point is putting ammunition and gasoline into the flamethrowers of the firefighters that are being used to burn down your channel and your content. So you as a content creator need to decentralize the distribution of your information, and you need to provide that information to your viewers. But not last but least, you as the viewer have a couple things that you need to do as well. You need to start watching content off of YouTube. If your favorite content creator distributes their content in another place, please watch it somewhere else. If you are forced or have to watch it on YouTube, install an AdBlocker. This is the time to weaponize your web browser. I recommend Ublock Origin, and I've provided a link in the description below. I've also provided a link in the description below regarding some media articles about what is going on with YouTube and their deletion of content. So it's really going to need to be a hand and glove type situation. Content creators need to stop being reliant on YouTube and need to decentralize the distribution of their information. The viewers have the most power. You need to no longer see one more ad on YouTube. Every ad you watch is funding your enemy, or an enemy of free speech, at least. Every ad you watch on YouTube gives them more power to do what they're doing. And you need to start considering being willing to accept some of the discomfort that occurs as a result of moving away from YouTube. BitChute is not perfect. You may not get the best video quality. VidMe may not do something you want. Maybe X, Y, or Z doesn't have a mobile app. These are the kinds of discomforts we're going to have to accept if we're willing to take up even a minor stance against a corporate oligarchy that is dictating what is going to be a fight for digital rights and free speech on the internet. At this moment, it's getting worse, and it's not in their hands to fix it. This isn't YouTube's fault. It's ours. We're giving them the power to do this. Thank you for watching.
The elite of our time has a wet dream. They want to turn the internet into the personal global chessboard, with every user as a servant to the powers.